Here is how to come out of poverty or cure poverty in your life and how to fix it. You see, one of the biggest problems we have, especially in most part of the world, is the misleading information about poverty on its own. Poverty is meant to believe to be a cause, or for you to come out of it, you need a luck. Unfortunately, these things are not that way. So you need to understand that as a human being, from the day you are born, you have a default state which you are born with. That default state means you come with an empty brain, there is nothing inside. So that means since you come with an empty brain, you don't have any value to provide. That means at your default state, you are already poor, irrespective of the family you are born with, you are born into. So this is the reality that you must accept from today, from now as you are watching this video, if you want to come out of that poverty. Now, this is what you need to be aware of. You see, poverty is a mindset because money is a game of the mind. That is the bitter truth that most successful people will not tell you. It's a game of the mind. So that means if you have a good mindset about life, you have a good behavior toward life because your mindset is going to control your behavior, the actions you take. And this behavior is going to be driven by the kind of information you expose yourself to. So that means if you stay in a place where people complain a lot, they are going to influence you. You are going to behave to be complaining a lot. If you stay in a place where people drink alcohol a lot, it means the environment, which is this place, is going to give you a kind of signal information about drinking. And the consequences of exposing yourself, you are going to start drinking. And when you start drinking, you are going to start behaving like a drunkard. And trust me, you will now have a mindset of people who drink. And trust me, in the long run, it's going to show in your life. Your state of wealth is a practical demonstration or presentation of your mindset, of who you are, who you actually are. That is a bitter truth that most people don't know. So that means if you have a good mindset that builds wealth, you are going to become wealthy. And if you have a mindset that is all about being poor, you are going to remain very poor. So this is why if you look at most successful people, they have a lifestyle. So that means if you want to become very successful, it means we need to look at your lifestyle, look at your wealth, look at how much you are making, look at how you behave. That means this is everything you see happening to your life is not luck or it's not bad luck. It is a manifestation of the reality about you. If you go to learn a handwork and you refuse to implement what you learn in that handwork, you go to start another different thing. That is the consequence. The consequences you are going to pay for that thing is one, you will not know anything about that handwork very well, and you cannot use it to give people to collect money from them to get them to pay you. And then at the end of the day, the actions of the new things you are trying to do, where you are going to be starting things afresh or going to be begging, is you are going to see the result in form of the money you make, which is going to be a practical demonstration of your value. So that means if you want to produce an aircraft, you cannot produce an aircraft if you don't have exposed yourself to the kind of information about producing aircraft. That means there is a strong relationship between your mindset, that means your lifestyle, and the kind of information you expose yourself to. And money is a practical demonstration or presentation of your real value. That is why somebody with SSCE is not being paid the same amount with somebody who graduated, because it is believed that the person who is a graduate has understood that every action he's taking, there are processes involved, and those processes lead to a lot of consequences, and a lot of things are bound to go wrong. Compared to a person who just finished secondary school or who just got elementary school. At elementary level, you are not presented with those things, but at higher level, you are presented to know those things. So that is why it's going to be that way. Then, one thing you need to also take note of is as you grow in this chain, while you try to expose yourself to information, you need to understand that the kind of information you expose yourself will influence your thought process. What do you mean by a thought process? A thought process is your imagination. When you expose yourself to certain, let's say for example, if you expose yourself to information about how aircraft work, you are going to imagine a lot of things in your brain. And there is a lot of processes that are involved to make an aircraft move from the ground level to go to the sky. compared to the thought process of just making a car move on the ground. So there are a higher level of information that as you grow higher in life, you need to expose yourself to if you want to grow higher. This is where you see people constantly updating themselves and constantly learning, which is the same thing that plays in our brain. As human beings, if you don't expose yourself to a lot of information, high valuable information, and you begin to implement it, you end up with an empty brain. And an empty brain is going to give people a practical demonstration or a practical presentation of who you are. Because when people interact with you, they will know if you are good in what you do or if you have something to offer them. Because for you to have something to offer somebody, you must have a way you'll be able to present it. Because if you know how something works, you will know how to present it to them. And if you know how to present it to them very well, you give them tangible value. And if you give them tangible value, they will pay you in return for giving them tangible value, which means it's going to be a practical demonstration of self-worth, and your situation, your finances will continue to get better. So this chain of diagram that you see here is a reality about life. There's nothing about poverty that is a cause. That is the default state where we are created as human beings. So that means for you to fix that default state, it starts with you, which is your mindset. And just like this chain of information, this breakdown where you start from the mindset, the behavior, the information you expose yourself, your environment, and your lifestyle, and then how you think, how you see things. Because a person who believes that everything about life is luck, trust me, he will never see things from this perspective. He will always hope one day that somebody will come across him and everything about his life will change. Trust me, it never work, and it will never work. Go and check all the successful people you meet on the set of it. Even if luck shine, you lose everything once there is a sudden shake-up, because you wouldn't know where to go next. You wouldn't know what to do next. But if you have the proper guide, it makes it very easy, because this information is going to constantly improve you, and it's going to constantly push your thought process, your thinking process on how you can improve on it. And then that is where the implementation also matters a lot. And you need to take note of the person who implements has a higher chance of succeeding in life than the person who is just consuming information. Because when you just consume, you end up on the theoretical level. That is why professors are poor, because they are just consuming information that are just left at the theoretical level. What do I mean by ending up at a theoretical level? You see, if I ask you, how are you? On a very good day, you are expected to reply with, I am fine or I am not fine, which is just the ternary operator in programming. You are expected to give only two answers, I am fine or I am not fine. But in the real life world, if I ask you, how are you? You might likely say, oh, no, probably I'm just okay, but I think I need to get certain things done. You see, the answer you gave me at this level is completely different from what we have in the ternary operation system, which means I must develop another way to keep the interaction going with you, then to present what I want to present to you, because the answer you gave at this level goes off, and that is how the reality of life is. 1 + 1 is 2, but what if the situation where you get to a place where you have 1 + 1 and it's no longer 2, is 3? What do you do? This is where the thought process comes into play, and this is why the beginning of success as a human being begins to set in. When you begin to see things from this level, you begin to see that you are moving at a pace that a lot of people will begin to wonder. A lot of people have confronted me in real life, and they have asked me, how do you arrive at this? How do you do this? Because I've exposed myself to a lot of information that is driving my thought process to a higher level that an average human being is thinking. Not just of copy and paste, where you have in the academic environment, where they tell you the treatment for malaria is this, the treatment for this. But what if in a situation, even in the medical field, where the body system of the person, even as ordinary as the food they eat, can make them react? There are situations where, for some people, like in my own case, there are situations where I've seen people where what they just need is to change their food style. As ordinary as their blood pressure is constantly going high, all they needed was to change their food, not even any diabetic medication or any medication that you can think of. So there are people like that. So this is where thought process matters a lot, because every action you take will determine if you are doing the right thing or wrong. You might be doing the right thing, but you might end up with the wrong result, because you have not really explored a higher level of reasoning. Human beings are different, and you need to be mindful of that. So this is where you see some people become very successful, because they build themselves, they have a very higher level of thought process than the ordinary human being. The ordinary human being has a low level of information, and the thought process cannot go beyond that level. So I believe you learned something in this particular video. So for you to cure that, you need to follow this chain. Let me give you a summary of it again. I believe you jot it down, because if you are repeating the lifestyle of not jotting down, trust me, you go back to that same state. First is your mindset. You need to have a positive mindset toward life. Two, understand that every behavior is going to be driven by your mindset. If you have a mindset that being rich is luck, trust me, you're going to be begging people and you hope that one day luck will shine, and it will never shine. What if the luck didn't shine? Even if you shine, what if there is a shake-up that things go wrong? What will you do? You will not know what to do. And then you need to look at the kind of information you expose yourself to. Don't expose yourself to people who criticize you a lot. Don't expose yourself to people who always see other people as being wicked. Don't expose yourself to people who always think life, everything about life, and let me just do it anyhow, it will work. It doesn't work. There are strategies and there are steps involved. Connect with people that look at things from the strategic point of view. Some of them will require you paying. Trust me. The reason is this: it takes a lot of work to get to that level, because by the time you begin to connect with them, they will begin to shape your mind and you begin to see it. And this is where the environment comes into play. There are people that believe that the environment is the cause of their. Yes, environment can influence you a lot, especially if you stay even on social media. There are social media platforms that encourage people. They always think that everything is going to be luck. They tell you to post consistently, consistent, but they never ask you that you need to understand the concept of A/B testing. You now see now. So A/B testing matters a lot in life. When you are doing something that is not giving you the kind of result, ask yourself, why is it not working? How can I fix it? Then you begin to move forward. Then before you know, you are going to build a lifestyle where you are going to be repeating that circle of getting the information from the environment. Is it working? Taking the action. Is it working? Why is it not working? You keep repeating. That is how successful people, they have a loop, which is what you call in programming loop. Constantly repeating the process. They repeat it until the whole system become a global standard. So I believe you learned something in this particular video. So see you guys in my next video. Thanks.